We should all know about it by now. Sunderland are having a very good season. By this point, I think most Championship fans, aside from Sunderland fans, expected them to fall off from their promotion push. But 26 games into the season at the time of this recording, and Sunderland are still fourth. 50 points has them just 2 points behind Sheffield United and Burnley in third and second, with Leeds in first on 53. There is still plenty of Championship football to be played. And if they can keep finding new tricks, but at the same time sustaining this insanely talented squad, Sunderland could actually be in with a chance of winning the title here, or at least being promoted or very close to returning to the top flight. And let's be honest, their squad warrants it. It's full of talented players, but the question mark at the start of the season was, well, it's very young. That kind of team was apparently not going to be able to sustain the great start that they had. An injury to the likes of Chris Rigg, which they've recently just got, could prove fatal. But we're now off the back of a win against Portsmouth and an excellent win against a promotion rival in Sheffield United. So Sunderland have been hit with a big injury, but how are they continuing to stay in this race? Welcome to the first ever video on my channel. I'm Ash Adamson-Edwards, and today I'm going to be pointing out some tactical differences that I've noticed in this Sunderland side recently and the key principles that have allowed them to stay in this fight all season long. The first section of this video is all about Wilson Isidor and Isidor Mayenda. Now, these two players have really come into their own this season. Isidor is out on loan from Russia. I've been really impressed with him, his athleticism on the ball and also the composure in tight moments despite such a large frame. He's also really good at dribbling too and is proving quite clinical at the moment. Isidor Mayenda, I think that he had a really good start to the season. He's been used out wide quite frequently, but right now in that central role is really coming into its own. And that is the precipice of this point. Since Rigg has come out injured, he's back very soon. Regis Lebris went with Isidor and Mayenda out wide against Stoke, a game which Sunderland lost 1-0 against Stoke City. When you're in this promotion race, of course, how much of a disappointing result that is for them. But the next game, it was changed up. Isidor went up top and Mayenda behind them for the Sheffield United game. And for me, that slight change in tactics, having these two direct, fast players that want to bomb forward and, if I'm honest, want to be strikers down the middle together, working together, I think that's been the change they've almost needed at the perfect time. They were clearly lacking a clinical striker in that game against Stoke. They had an XG of 2.08 and lost 1-0. So let's get into a couple of in-game examples of how I think these two have been deadly together. Okay, the first point I want to make about this Mayenda and Isidor combination is that although Isidor is the out-and-out striker on paper, with Mayenda kind of acting as that cam, they're not really doing that, and they're actually fooling defences with their interchangeability between these two positions. Sometimes Mayenda will go up top and advance further because he has the pace to do so, whilst Isidor could drop off or stay in the positions that are outlined or act as a front two. In this example here, Chris Mepham is on the ball just about 10 minutes into the game against Sheffield United. Now, as you can see, Sunderland have got about 5 players. You can only see 4 in this picture on pressing the Sheffield United back line. They're quite high at the pitch. Sunderland as a whole are quite advanced. You can see Isidor here, Mayenda here as well. Sorry for the very poorly drawn circles, but they're both up top together. Isidor and Mayenda, the two focal points. But if we keep an eye on Isidor actually, and we move on to the next slide, Isidor is actually the one to drop a little deeper, and Mepham, he's advancing as well. Isidor comes a little bit closer, and he's kind of taking the attention away from these two defenders. They're examining him, but if you can actually see, I'm sure you can, guess who's running in behind, with only one player tracking him and a player that arguably can't keep up with the pace of Mayenda. So you can see in this phase here that they're actually interchanging within their positions. Isidor dropping deep, taking the attention, but it's Mayenda that is then bombing in behind because he has the pace to do so. They can play in either of those positions. I'd argue Mayenda more than Isidor can play in the cam, but Mayenda can certainly play in the striker. Mepham spots the run, a ball comes into the top, and look, Isidor all the way back here. He's tracks in about 3 players, arguably that bit of space there, and Mayenda is kind of left on his own and able to run into these positions. He does so. Mayenda gets into space in behind with only one defender on him and a clear shot at goal. An excellent bit of play, which pretty much comes with the fact that they are able to shift in and out of their positions and play off each other. Mayenda doesn't score this chance, but he certainly gets very close, and these are the kind of chances you want to be making. Another one of the key attributes about this combination, I mentioned it before, but it is the fact that they're fast. And now that is certainly not their only attribute, but it is a massive benefit, especially in this scenario here. Dan Neil's just won the ball back against Portsmouth. Mayenda and Isidor are pretty far back, but it's their pace that allows them to get forward so quickly. Mayenda knows exactly the kind of run he needs to make for Dan Neil, carries the ball from down here into the centre. Isidor can see the space that he can run into. He knows his strengths. Portsmouth defence looks quite shaky. It's very open. They've only got, well, arguably 2 at the back to really protect their goal at the moment. Mayenda, though, in this moment, obviously it's too early to release Isidor, and that's another one of his attributes too. He can carry the ball, he can dribble with it, and that's exactly what he does for quite a while. He carries the ball forward, but you can see Isidor making this run in behind here, and he plays a beautiful reverse pass into this space around here. Now, again, they've gotten forward so quickly. Within about 5 seconds, they've got a 2 kind of versus 3 situation, arguably a 2-on-2. And with their pace, that is deadly against most centre-halves in the Championship, let alone Portsmouth's. Isidor is slotted through, and this is the winner of the game. They take the opportunity by the scruff of the neck. They get either one of them in behind, and Isidor has the quality to tuck this ball into the bottom left corner. But they've got a one-on-one situation so quickly, just like they did before. And it's not just their link-up play that benefits either one of these players. I don't want to spend the whole video talking about how fast they are, but having them through the middle, I can't stress enough how much that's benefited them in their last 2 games. Out wide, they're both pretty good, but they've got players like Patrick Roberts that can play out there, Mohamed Al-Shish, Romain Mundle when he comes back, and Chris Rigg is obviously going to benefit the side. I'm not saying that taking him away has made Sunderland better, but they needed a new string to add to their bow, and this is it. Another benefit of either one of these two is that they're really good on the press, and when they win the ball, they can penetrate the side themselves. They don't have to hold up the ball. They can attack the space they need to straight away. So we've got another in-game example here. And Mayenda is pressing this defender who haphazardly clears the ball into the air and into the path one-on-one with his keeper. Now Mayenda is alert. He's on top of it. And look how much space he's just allowed himself. Sees that ball. He's going to drive it into that space. It's very, very obvious. He gets a one-on-one chance with Michael Cooper, which are pretty much the only opportunities you're going to get to score against Cooper in this league, one-on-one with a lot of time, and he gets that and he finishes and he scores the opener against a very well organised Sheffield United team. He spotted the mistake, he pounced, and he delivered like a clinical player. Another example of how this dynamic duo can counter so quickly is on the screen. Now it was 1-1 against Sheffield United. This chance didn't result in a goal, but as you can see, Patrick Roberts winning the ball back down here. Now, Mayenda and Isidor are kind of playing as a front 2 at the moment. That is what they do out of possession. Sunderland, they're usually in a bit of a 4-4-2. So whoever's playing in the cam will link up with the striker to act as the 2 pressing strikers. So they're kind of in this position through default. But it's the strength and how quickly that they counter-attack that impresses me so much. And really what is so deadly. Again, Patrick Roberts eventually gets that ball to Mayenda, can carry that ball forward himself. He spots the run of Isidor that can, of course, burst into pretty much any space he likes onto the pitch. He's so fast. Isidor plays a kind of a looping ball around, and it kind of sets Isidor into the wrong position. He's not as central as he likes to be. That was also down to the pressure of the defender as well. But Isidor has shown many times this season that the stress and the pressure of a defender doesn't faze him. He has that composure to just keep a hold of the ball, get past his man, and finished. And he did exactly that here. They've turned the ball over and it's resulted in the winning goal against your promotion rivals. Mayenda is on the edge of the box here, but Isidor's had to dribble all the way out and then back in past this player and finishes against Michael Cooper. Quite a tight angle as well, goes into this bottom right corner. Again, Isidor has that ability about him that he can just kind of breeze past players. It doesn't matter how tired he is, it doesn't matter how much of the pitch he's just sprinted. He stays composed and he picks up points. And that actually takes me on to another example, quite a famous point within Sunderland's season. They're away to Hull. It's quite a dead game. They need to break the deadlock and Isidor does that. But he does that by pressing an opportunity, which was quite controversial because the Hull player was almost tackled by the referee. But Isidor pounced on the chance. But he didn't just pounce on the chance and lay it off to a winger or a teammate. He actually just sprints with the ball the entire length of the pitch, gets past his man, keeps going, even squares him up and then dinks it over the keeper in this position. Isidor out wide is great. In my opinion, he can very much be the out-and-out striker of this team. Another one of the key aspects about this Sunderland team this season is just how good their fullbacks are. I'm talking Dennis Serkin, Trey Hume. Primarily, they've had a couple of interchanges and swaps throughout the campaign, of course, but it's Trey Hume that I really want to highlight here. Now, his role in the side is not just to be a traditional right back. He's playing on paper in a back 4, but he's often getting forward and interchanging and being involved with a lot of the link-up play down this right-hand side. And it's been fundamental for them so far in this promotion race. So as we can see on screen, Hume has the ball down here. He's got Mayenda just inside of him. He's, playing that cam role, linking up the play as well, coming a bit more wide, and Roberts down here. Isidor a little further ahead. Now, Trey Hume, you might not notice anything that's complex about this scenario here. He often forms a triangle with the inside midfielder and his winger, which is usually Patrick Roberts. They combine down the right, as I said, going forward, usually quite deadly, but there's something quite unique about Hume's role in this scenario. So if we just take it forward a little bit more, he plays the ball into Mayenda, and Mayenda is very quick on his toes and plays it into Roberts down here. Again, nothing too extraordinary. At the moment, Isidor's offside, he's unavailable over here, but it's the run of Hume that really draws my attention in this scenario. Now, they're playing Sheffield United at the moment. In this phase of the game, Sheffield United were all over them. Sunderland were quite pegged back, actually quite struggling to get the ball out to Trey Hume. Sheffield United were pressing quite well, especially when Anthony Patterson had the ball. But as soon as they did get the ball to Hume, they unlocked the opposition. So Hume isn't just staying here. He's not forming back here to be a traditional right back. If you keep an eye on him, he's actually making a little bit of a looping run, which none of the Sheffield United, I'm just drawing little dots here, none of the Sheffield United players are really paying attention to. All of them are focused their attention around the ball and where it's going to go, but no one is paying attention to the run that Hume is making, and it's a really intelligent one. It's a looping around. He can see this space here, and he's going to take advantage of it because, again, as you can see, none of those Sheffield United players are looking at him and even notice that there's that much space in behind the midfield and defence. They're just focused on Patrick Roberts with the ball because he's so deadly in himself, and they're aware of the threat that Isidor and Mayenda pose with runs in behind here down the line. But it's Hume that really opens this attack up. Take it forward a step more. Patrick Roberts, great composure on the ball, spots the run of Hume and plays it inside here. And look at how much space he has now to attack. And the main point about this is that Hume is actually taking up a number 10 position. He's the right back, and he's travelled all the way up here with the ball to get into a playmaking position with two strikers up ahead of him that he can feed in behind, and God knows who else that might also join the attack. But Hume is right at the centre playing this creative role, and he picks up the ball, and he doesn't fluff his lines. He doesn't get a little bit too starstruck with his positioning. He's used to it, and he's done it many times before this season. Isidor with a great run in behind here, and Hume plays a wonderful pass to get him one-on-one with Michael Cooper. I'm going to pop a picture up on screen here, but the final part of this video is actually going to be focused around Patrick Roberts. I don't think he really gets enough credit or limelight in just how good this Sunderland team has been this season. But for me, he's arguably their best player. He's one of the more experienced players in the squad. He's 27. Most players in this team are under 20, or just over that. Now, Roberts has played in every league game bar one this season, and is always just so composed on the ball. In a lot of people's opinions, he's one of the most entertaining players to watch in the league. When he's on the ball, his dribbling is just fantastic. He kind of just has this kind of different vision of the game that allows him to get out of these tight spaces. There's even like instances in some of the games where, I know this is very far-fetched, but they know he's so good at what he does, and they know he's good at kind of picking those pockets of spaces, so he has that kind of license and freedom to roam around the pitch, and almost like Lionel Messi used to do in his Barca days, where he didn't really have a role defensively. He'd just kind of walk around and find those spaces and do whatever he wanted. And Roberts hasn't necessarily got that completely, but he certainly has that element of kind of this playmaker that's out wide, that inverts. I mean, the amount of times he's got the ball out wide and you almost know it's coming, but he does it so quickly that it's not stoppable. Where he drifts the ball inwards just on the edge of the box and has a go or lays it off. He has 2 goals and 5 assists this season, which isn't the strongest output, but every game he's just one of the most deadly players. And in the longevity of their title race, he's stayed fit so far, and he's going to be vitally important. He was part of that Sunderland side that got to the playoffs 2 seasons ago, and if they can keep him fit out on that right side, he is going to be vital. Thank you so much for watching this tactical breakdown of Sunderland so far this season. If you agree or disagree with my points, please let me know in the comments down below. A like and subscribe would really be appreciated at this stage of the channel, but for now, I'll see you next time.